Jim Harbaugh's Monday press conference, and of course, he was asked about all the content that was out there, the hit pieces and everything. Most notably, Sunday evening's Wall Street Journal article saying that a contract that was agreed basically in principle back in October has been rescinded from the University of Michigan and their athletic department. Jim Harbaugh asked specifically about that point, and he said, "I wouldn't say that's accurate." We are going to talk all about this Jim Harbaugh contract situation and the NCAA investment investigation. But I want Michigan to make an investment in Jim Harbaugh. I am kind of taking this stance here right now. Whether Michigan cheated to the worst parts of the world or it was just kind of counter-salliance out in his own, whatever happened, I don't actually care at this point. It's Michigan against the world. If you're with Michigan, if you're with Harbaugh, no matter what, give me a me down in the comments, especially if it's your first time watching the show. Comment me so I know who is riding with Michigan football and not any hater or loser. Come over here from Ohio State, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Georgia fans. I've seen Tennessee fans. Purdue, do you know, Jack, Purdue has fans. Saw a Purdue fan in the comments on Sunday night. Give me a me if you're a Michigan fan. Ride or die. So I tweeted this out last night. Got a lot of buzz out there on the internet, and I got word, right? I don't know. They've been very tight-lipped on what exactly was said, but I'm going to give you all the information that I know about from the players-only meeting that reportedly happened bright and early this morning, something like 6 a.m. Outside the weight room for Michigan football players to talk about game week, getting back in the field, what they want to accomplish, and what this NCAA investigation means to their season and to their future. And then a lot of fake news out there. So much fake news from Ohio State to even Michigan radio personalities just spreading fake news all over the internet. So it's a jam-packed show. We're going to tell you what to believe, what not to believe, and what the future of this program looks like. Didn't want to address this. Rashan Gary, his mom, one-time friend of the show. She also tweeted at me that I was a complete liar one time, so we're friend and we're foes, but did want to give a shout-out to Rashan Gary, $100 million man, 4-year, $177 million extension with the Green Bay Packers, the former top 10 pick and number 1 overall recruit in the 2016 class. Congrats to Rashan Gary, a $100 million man. Guys, we are approaching 28,500 subscribers. We've added like 400 in the past 6 days. So if you haven't yet, now is the time. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to have daily Michigan football videos from now through January 9th. Day after the national championship game, Jack and I are going to go to a gentleman's club in Houston, stream live for 24 hours if they let us. We'll keep it rolling all the way through signing day in early February. Hit that subscribe button. Let's just get 12 today, if we can, to get to 28,500 before Halloween. As we alluded to at the top of the show, Jim Harbaugh speaks, and he didn't really say much at his press conference today. And I will give a little bit of advice to all the Michigan football media members and university staffers that watch their show, of which I'm sure there are many. They really need to start streaming these things because they used to, and all of a sudden the last 3 or 4 years, ever since Corona came about in 2020, they haven't streamed any of the Michigan press conference anymore to the public, and I think that does a disservice to the fan. But he said, I wouldn't say that's accurate, is what Jim Harbaugh said. And we're going to take you a little deeper on this subject with a tweet from Jim Harbaugh's buddy, right? Todd Anson, if you're not familiar with him, he went on a couple of tweet storms in the past week, this morning and last night, putting out all kind of information out there. He's the one that said that Harbaugh was promised a new contract by November 9th. He said that a couple weeks ago, and he addressed the Wall Street Journal article that we'll tell you about here later in the show. But before we talk more about Harbaugh, let's talk about this players-only meeting, right? So a source told me last night some of the team captains, Zak Zinter, Mikey Sainristil, and others, want all the players to meet outside of the weight room, players only, to discuss game week, what they're looking forward to this week, what they need to accomplish, and make sure there's no dissenters anywhere in this team or around this program of what they are trying to accomplish. The meeting agenda was tight-lipped, right? Wasn't told exactly what was said, but I'm sure you guys can imagine what happens when a team has to galvanize around a certain subject or there's controversy in there. I'm sure Mikey Sainristil got in front of the room and said, anybody on this team want to quit? Anybody thinks that we didn't accomplish all that stuff the last 2 years? Raise your hands. Nobody raised their hands. Who's with me? Yeah, if you're with me, give me a go blue. All that stuff. And from what the conversations were had, without getting into specifics that I have yet to be privy with, this team came away looking to make sure there is no doubt from the opponents to the opposing coaching staffs, to their own fans, to themselves, to their parents, to the university, to former Michigan football players, that what they've done on the field, that they were worthy from their athletic abilities and didn't get any, advantage from knowing signs or anything like that from Connor Stalions and his vast network of spies. And I was also told that, leaving out of this meeting, Michigan football players really have something to prove as early as this Saturday night. So we're going to talk more about that players-only meeting. I'll tell you exactly what they were saying about this game, which I feel bad for Purdue in some ways, but also a week from Saturday, Penn State, Maryland. By the way, did you guys see Maryland lost their third straight game? I think they lost Northwestern on Saturday. Josh Gaddis, you are proving to be everything that we always knew that you were. So we can tell you more on that. Looking forward to these next 4 games, next 7 games leading up to the national championship game, January 8th, Houston or bust. But I want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks, the ultimate daily fantasy sports platform that takes your passion for sports to the next level. With Prize Picks, you can select your favorite athletes in college or the pros and make predictions on their performance for a chance to win big. Monday Night Football is tonight. It's the Lions. They're trying to stay at the top of their division, and I'm really, really high in this Lions offense. So Prize Picks put some stats in front of me. 252.5 yards for Jared Goff passing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 79.5 yards. I went more on both of them. I also went less on Josh Jacobs, the Raiders running back, scoring a touchdown. And that's how easy it is with Prize Picks. You just see the stats that Prize Picks puts in front of you for passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, scoring a touchdown. I go a little deeper in that too, but those are the ones that I usually focus on with Prize Picks, and you just choose more or less. I put 3 picks on for the game, Lions, Raiders, Monday Night Football. Risk $10 on it. I do that, I win myself. That's $50, right, Jack? I risked 10 to get $50 on Prize Picks. I can't remember what I did, but I think it was 10 to win 50. You can pick up to 6 different picks per submission. 25 extra money with Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make your first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks is going to match it up to $100 themselves. So put in 100, you got yourself an extra 100. prizepicks.com/CLNS. The link and the promo code are down in the comments and the descriptions. A couple days from now, Wednesday, Thursday, they will have the numbers in there for Michigan football players this week against Purdue. I love putting in my Prize Picks on the Michigan football games, and you will too. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's take a look at Michigan and Purdue, the Boilermakers. This is the team that played Michigan 10.5 months ago, almost 11 months ago, in the Big Ten championship game, a game that was very close into the middle of the third quarter before Michigan really started to pull away. They're 2-6 now. This team is 1-4. They have one of the most putrid offenses in all of the Power 5 at 22 points a game. Michigan, on the other hand, top 6 in scoring offense, number 1 in scoring defense, and an all-time record pace. The game, if you didn't see it yet, it was announced last Monday, is a night game, NBC, under the Big House. It's not necessarily a maze out yet that I've seen, but wear your maze under the lights. It looks a hell of a lot better than dark blue. Michigan, Purdue. We're going to try and spend some time on this matchup, although I don't think that Michigan is really going to have much trouble with Purdue. And with the way these players are galvanized, go down in the comments and pick your score, by the way. Michigan, Purdue, let me know what you guys are thinking, because the way this team has galvanized around each other, they want to prove the world's wrong. I think it's going to be a world of hurt for Purdue. Here's my score prediction. 63-0. 63-0. I've got Michigan scoring 9 touchdowns, 33-point spread. Michigan will be up at least 35-0 at halftime. Hell, could be 42-0. They are just going to pile it on. And I don't think J.J. McCarthy's coming out in the middle of the third quarter, even if they're up 45-0 or 49-0. I think he's going to stay in there till at least the middle of the fourth, get himself ready for the Penn State game a week after that, and make sure that the entire college football world takes notice of the talent of this Michigan football team. Go down in the comments, predict the score. Michigan, Purdue, Saturday night. I've got 63-0. There'd be a second shutout for this Michigan team, by the way. I haven't done that, I don't think, since 2015, Jim Harbaugh's first year at Michigan. I could be missing one in there. But players only meeting details. Didn't take long. It was about a 10 to 15-minute meeting, and then there were some breakouts of different defensive group guys, different offensive group guys. A couple of the captains came together. But what I said earlier, this team wants to make everyone know, you included, me included, the whole college football world, that the sign stealing allegations and scandal, etc., was not the reason that they beat Ohio State the last 2 years, was not the reason that they won the Big Ten, went to the college football playoff. And they're out to win a national title, right? It's nothing new, right? Everyone knew that going into the season, but just keep that in mind when you see Michigan take the field on Saturday night. This football team is more dedicated than ever, and anything short of Jim Harbaugh being suspended or even fired or resigning, or the Big Ten saying something like, your season's canceled, which I don't think there's any chance of any of that happening as of now with the information we know. Look for a absolutely fired up team on Saturday night that's going to continue the rest of the month of November into the college football playoff. ESPN's Adam Rittenberg addressed this story last night about Harbaugh's contract being rescinded. And you see what he says on screen, but he basically alludes to by his source. And by the way, I'm sick of the word source. I am sick of the word source. I said it last night. Source should be replaced with, what did I say? I said spineless anonymous rat. That's what we should call source, including my own. My sources, your spineless anonymous rats as well. But he basically said this was agreed to on the week of October 8th. That's kind of when everybody started reporting on it. The things leaked out that it was going down. And the plan was to have it agreed to and signed this week's leading up to the bye week this past Saturday, and ideally before the Penn State game. Harbaugh's buddy Todd Anson, lawyer, formerly, Michigan grad. I think he lives in Ann Arbor now, but he used to live in San Francisco. But he basically said he realizes that it's Rachel Bachman, who is a Michigan grad writing for the Wall Street Journal, but she herself could have sources that are trying to take down Michigan football. He says, I'll make you a deal, Rachel. Give up your source and out the leaker if this is wrong. That's a good thing, right? I think that's a good deal that Todd's making with Rachel. I doubt she's going to reply to it, but if she is wrong, and if Jim Harbaugh gets another contract, despite what's going on with the NCAA, I think someone like Rachel should have some journalistic integrity, that of which is lacking these days in the world. And hey, here's my source. I'm outing them because they made me look like a fool in front of Michigan football fans and the greater college football universe. My opinion here is this. Michigan, the administration, the fans, but most of the administration, the athletic department, the donors, the regents, you're either with Harbaugh or you're against him. For what you know, all the cards have been laid on the table from what we understand from the NCAA. So if you know it and he's still coaching you, that means it's not egregious enough to get rid of him now. And if that's the case, sign the man to the long-term deal. If it's not the case, then fire him. Go ahead and fire him. Because for me, it's Michigan against the world, and you got to have all boats rowing, all rows rowing in the same direction, whatever that saying is. Everybody's got to be rowing in the same direction, just like we're on crew team trying to make it to the finish line. Everyone who everyone who could benefit from Michigan not being good, it seems like, is lining up, getting their media. Ohio State media is a bunch of scumbags. They're spreading all kinds of fake stories around about Michigan. Michigan State, Notre Dame, national media, whatever their agenda is, feels like it's Michigan against the world, trying to take Harbaugh down. These people are in the Michigan community. President, AD, regents, you really need to rally behind Jim Harbaugh. A contract signed, sealed, and delivered, I think, would absolutely do that. $75 million, 5 years, the full 5-year outlay of the new Big Ten, 2024 through 2028. Rip up what's been there before. 5 years, $75 million. Make him the highest paid coach in college football. And if something comes out in the future that proves he was cheating or that he lied to you, then you've got a clause in there, and the contract is null and void, and you make a change then. But if you let this linger out there, Jim Harbaugh is going to not feel the love, as we said last week. He's going to end up moving on and no longer being your head coach. Speaking of media, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, they still exist, Sports Illustrated, the Wall Street Journal. Who's the other one? The Washington Post. Do you trust the mainstream media on this or on any subject? Go down in the comments and give me a yes or a no. I'm at an absolute no. I want to see videotape of Harbaugh and Connor Stallions in a dark room with a light over their head, cooking up a scheme before I'm going to believe anything they write on this story. Speaking of the media, the local blog boy media, we're calling them mainstream media. Shameful Sam Webb has lost his mind. He has gone so deep on this Ohio State Ryan Day story, which, look, I think Ryan Day probably had something to do with it. I think he's using his media contacts to make Michigan look bad. But people believe Sam, for whatever reason, he's been around for 25 years, etc., that he's making Michigan fans look bad. Take a look at this screenshot from his article over the weekend. Let's take it a step further. There's a LinkedIn page for Christopher Day. Yada, yada, yada. Further digging. 4th and 1 investigations. That sounds like fake news, right? 4th and 1 investigations. Chris Day, Ryan Day's brother. Ryan Day has a brother named Chris. yada, yada, used to be in the DEA. There's another Christopher Day in New Hampshire. It's definitely worthy of further exploration. I saw this. I tweeted this out, right? No one catches me in fake news. I am fake news bulletproof. I said to him, I said, Sloppy Sam Webb now claiming that Ryan Day hired his own brother as the private investigator that turned Counter Stallions over to the FBI. You got to be kidding me, Sam. And by the way, we don't let us show gifts here, but my gift that went along with this tweet was this woman being like, that's a reach. That is just a reach across the room and pull something back. He is reaching so ridiculous because, well, 4th and 1 investigations, etc. Yeah, that's usually what happens when DEA agents get out of the DEA. They become private investigators. And if it's a one-man show, which I would assume 4th and 1 investigations, Chachi name like that for a company, that it's just him on his own. It might even be an LLC, a one-man shop there for Ryan Day's brother. What does this prove? Right? So Webb stands, right? People who stan him, if you're not familiar with the term, a stan is somebody who just worships a celebrity or somebody in the media in the public spotlight. Sam Webb stands and been spreading this bullshit on Twitter all day long, and as such, he's making Michigan fans look bad because they're taking him for his word. When I know Sam Webb is not this naive, he doesn't believe the stuff he's putting out there. He's trying to get you to click on a little article, sign up for a 7-day subscription to his $10 a month service through 24/7 Sports. And by the way, all right, this all originated from Zach Smith, former Ohio State wide receiver coach. Joked about this multiple times last week on his own YouTube show, Menace to Sports. You can't tell me that Webb didn't get wind of that, see a clip of it on Twitter or Instagram, and ran with it. Started doing this investigation of LinkedIn and LLC open records from the state of New Hampshire. It's just frankly mind-boggling that Sam Webb can be this naive and frankly this ridiculous when it comes to the Michigan football NCAA investigation involving Counter Stallions. Sam Webb, get out of the dark conspiracy. What's the guy's name? The guy who's all crazy, yelling on the internet all the time. Sandy Hook, he got in some trouble on that. Alex Jones. Sam Webb has become worse than Alex Jones. He's literally doing screenshots of open records of companies and LinkedIn searches for Ryan Day's brother, hoping it's the same guy. Sam Webb, get out of the Alex Jones business. You had a much better career when you just said nothing and just blew smoke up Jim Harbaugh's ass because that is your business model. One more reminder here, we're at 28,488 subscribers. Let's get to 28,500, 12 more by the end of today. YouTube.com/Michigan TV. Help spread the wealth of the show. Send that link to your friends who are Michigan football fans. How about this one, right? We're going to walk through some more crazy conspiracies out there. Mr. Morales, 44, says, legalized gambling is about to lower the boom, right? Yada, yada, yada. He had a few more tweets on this. The state of Michigan benefits financially from gambling on sports. Imagine the scale of a lawsuit the university could have from everyone who lost money betting against the spread. You got to be kidding me here, Mr. Morales, if you actually believe that. And he went on to just this whole thread on Twitter that a bunch of people were retweeting. Clearly, he's an Ohio State fan. Is that he's saying that the state of Michigan is going to, the sports gambling companies are going to sue the University of Michigan, sue Jim Harbaugh, sue the State Gaming Commission because Michigan was cheating. And it's so comical that if you have any knowledge of how the law works, you could then sue if one player took steroids, if a guy used the wrong type of helmet, if a player ended up cheating on a test that came out later on, but he played in the game and adjusted the outcome of a game. That's how ridiculous you have to make your claim. It has no basis in fact and no basis in law, but people are out there spreading it. The sports books are going to shut down Michigan football. But this one takes them all, and this is Mr. Fake News himself, Pat Forty, reporting in Sports Illustrated, I think this was on Sunday, that Michigan's ball boys were in on the scheme, that Michigan ball boys were using hand signals to get signs to Michigan football coaches and staffers, and that's how Michigan has won, 20 straight Big Ten games and 33 out of the last 40 games, whatever regular season games overall. Really, Pat Forty? Really, dude? Is this just like when you got duped and were an embarrassment to your entire profession when you got duped in the Manti Te'o hoax, you and the other big Jim Harbaugh, anti-Jim Harbaugh guy in the media, Pete Thamel. The two biggest losers of the Manti Te'o story, Pete Thamel and Pat Forty, the guys who were spreading the story 11 years ago. It's 11 years later. They have the same exact playbook. Put whatever is out there to get one more article. All they're looking for is one more article, anything that seems plausible. Oh, Jim Harbaugh's son that was crying in 2019. You guys all remember that gif of Harbaugh's wife, the son who's probably like 8 years old at the time, crying? That was a sign if he cries, that means the other team is blitzing or they're doing a run defense. I mean, that's the next story that's going to come out. It's absolutely reached its peak of absurdity. And I think when everything gets unraveled, we're going to see how much of a deal this story was made that probably is a mountain out of a molehill is what things are going to shake out to. And Jim Harbaugh will remain as Michigan football head coach as long as they get a contract in front of him to sign before the Penn State game next Saturday in Happy Valley. You've been watching the Michigan Football Report. I will have a video for you out again on Tuesday. Again, by the way, tomorrow is CFP Top 25 Days. We'll have a video out for you earlier in the day and then react to that on Wednesday. Until I see you guys then, go Blue.